Well, probably like every YouTuber out there who did this before me, I'll say it. My introduction to the Mother series was through Super Smash Bros. Melee when I was introduced to the character of Ness. Then a few years later, I was introduced specifically to Earthbound because I was watching some retro collecting content on YouTube and I found out that Earthbound was one of the most expensive common SNES games at the time. I think it still is. It's only this year in 2023 that I decided to fully beat an RPG from the SNES/Super Famicom era. It's at that moment that I realized that Nintendo recently dropped Earthbound on the NSO service on Nintendo Switch, so I decided it was finally my time and I gave it a shot. Only a few hours in and I was completely hooked with this game. Earthbound is unlike anything else that I played before, and I have my fair share of experience with obscure JRPGs, believe me. In 1994, when Mother 2 was released, it took Japan by storm because it dropped every single RPG cliche to create something completely new and different from anything else before. The first thing that hooked me, you'll ask? To be honest, it's a mix of how unique this story and setting is compared to anything else I've played before and how well this game aged. In Earthbound, aka Mother 2, you play as Ness and friends, a bunch of 13-year-olds in modern age. The story of Earthbound is something special. Brace yourselves. One day, you get woken up during your sleep by your neighbor who tells you that a meteor just fell behind your house and village. You go ahead and inspect the meteor alongside the police to stumble upon an insect who came from the meteor. The insect is called Buzz, which he's able to talk and which you are able to understand. He tells you that he's from the future and that you have to stop the antagonist of the game who goes by Gigas. Sorry for my pronunciation. Gigas is trying to destroy the world in the future, and Buzz believes that you and your friends have enough potential to help him. Sadly, he was brutally murdered when your friend's mom slapped him. Before dying, Buzz explained that he needs you to travel the earth and record the melodies of 8 different sanctuaries. Only with the power of those 8 melodies combined, you will be able to be Gaius and save the earth. Simple enough, right? Well, this plotline is surrounded in mysteries and funny moments, dark moments as well, with a bunch of very unique characters. While the story is not the only thing that kept me hooked from start to finish, it's certainly something that I wanted to see through. The characters that form your party all have distinct personalities and skill sets, which makes progression through the story very rewarding. The game caught me off guard on multiple occasions as it tackles very dark themes that you would not expect in such a bright-looking RPG. Themes like slavery, religion, and much more, which would be very controversial in modern day. Earthbound is a very big game with tons of different towns and locations to explore, and just like the characters, those locations are also very distinct from one another. One second you'll be in a city near a beach, the other you'll be climbing in a snowy mountains or even crossing gigantic swamps. The attention to details in all those locations is also super impressive to me because damn, this game came out in 1994 before I was even born. This attention to details is certainly one of the main elements that helps Earthbound greatly in modern day. Playing on my Nintendo Switch, mostly in handheld mode, I mostly felt like I was playing a modern RPG. I say mostly because there are still certain aspects of the game that show its age. One of those things is the menu system. All 4 party members have a small and distinct inventory and you have to trade items between each other. While this is a little irritating at times, it's also charming and adds to the strategy in combat, which we'll get to in just a second. There is one thing in the menu system that I really appreciated though, and it's the help command for each item. By clicking this command, you get a description of what that item actually is. Very helpful. Another thing that didn't age so well though is the balance of certain weapons in the game. Early on in my playthrough, my main character was equipped with a regular bat, if I recall correctly, which would hit, I'd say 90% of the time without any issue. But then I purchased a way more expensive weapon, which I thought was an upgrade called a slingshot. Sold my bat and then left the shop with a slingshot. And I swear to God, I would miss at least 90% of my attacks. This also happened with other weapons, but hey, again, not a big deal breaker, just something that I feel is unnecessary and could have been balanced in a way better way. The game is a very linear experience as you make your way from a town to another with occasional reasons to back up and go to previous locations. Think of it as an older Pokemon game in that sense. That being said, the game still makes it worth your while if you're willing to explore every nook and cranny of this huge world. The setting of the game is very funky and it's completely surrounded in humor. This game made me laugh on multiple occasions, sometimes for just how ridiculous certain situations are, but also because of simple puns or jokes that the game told. There's one moment that I remember killed me. You get into a battle with a random old man in a town, and his attack against you is rumbling about today's youth. It's simple stuff like that that made me smile my way through Earthbound. It's just very, very funny at times. You can really feel that a lot of love was put into the details of the game, and that's a big factor as to why I think it's such a special experience. Oh, and just one last thing. Let me tell you about one other situation that really made me laugh. I looked at a clerk's item for sale in a shop, but decided not to buy anything. In other RPGs, the clerk would have said, "Goodbye, you have a good day." But this dude straight up called me a cheap ass. It's crazy stuff. The character dialogues are just very well written, in my opinion. Honestly, even NPCs outside of the main story have interesting things to say. My routine was to speak to everybody in towns when discovering a new location. It took me around 30 hours to beat the main game, with me poking an eye at a walkthrough every now and then, but on just small occasions, right? But I got lost on a few occasions as well. The game does feature a hint system though, which is very solid, and honestly, if you're not as dumb as me, you shouldn't have any issue figuring it out without a guide, which again is something worth pointing out in my opinion for a game of that age. Alright, enough about the story, let's talk about the combat in the game. Earthbound features a simple but fun and addictive turn-based combat system. Every character has their own set of moves that you can't really customize or level up. Your character's stat will level up by themselves as you progress and level up your characters, which will make them stronger in general. Stats can also be boosted using certain items scattered around dungeons. That being said, you can equip different types of weapons and equip unique items for each party member. There is a huge variety of items that are equipable and also that are usable in battle, which helps make it varied. Again, a very simple combat system, but very fun regardless. The encounter rate is also very fair for a game of that era, and enemies are even avoidable at times, which means that you don't have random encounters at every 3 steps, like most RPGs from that era. When talking about the battles of Earthbound, you have to mention the battle animations. Honestly, not bad at all, and I would even say they're impressive at times if you ask me. An overall, very fun experience when it comes to the combat in Earthbound. If you thought the presentation or the story of the game was special and unique, let me tell you something. The soundtrack is even crazier. The soundtrack is very special since it features multiple mixes of tracks to fit every occasion in the game, which means that you will hear one track in a certain town, but as you do things in towns, you might hear 3 different mixes of that track. It's very impressive stuff. The sound effects are also very surprising at times and will certainly catch you off guard on multiple occasions. I'll leave it at that. We're 30 years from the original release of Earthbound, and I, a JRPG fan who never played this series and had pretty much zero knowledge of it, it was very enjoyable from start to finish. Earthbound, as many will tell you, is a fantastic game that deserves your time, and that is, like I said on multiple occasions during this review, it's unlike anything else that you've played before. Thank you so much for watching my review of Earthbound / Mother 2. If you enjoyed it, please tell me if you'd like to hear my newcomers impressions on other games in the Mother series. And if you enjoyed the review, a quick thumbs up really helps. If you would like to have more JRPG content, reviews, Atlas content, news coverage and everything, and reviews of modern games as well, you're at the right place. Make sure you subscribe, and please give me a comment and tell me what you think of Earthbound. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.